Hi, everybody. I'm Mikey.
And I'm Nikki.
And we're starting a podcast. Or a podcast. I'm not sure where that R came from. We are starting a podcast because we are bored. And we want something else to do besides the other 15 things that we're doing. We also thought that the first topic would be to talk about the Jon Batiste music video for I Need You.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially because we're getting so many questions about the music video and how we got the gig and who are these dancers.
And it's such a harrowing story
yeah.
of success and ouch and where are we and why are we here and ouch.
Yeah.
So this is just a pilot for what we may do in the future. We're not quite sure, but we know we really want to do something fun and creative like this. So we're just gonna jump right into it. So the idea of this music video came to us in a random email one night when we were at...
we were at work, actually. We were at the skate shop, Atomic Skate Exchange.
Mm-hmm.
And Mikey got this email and was reading it to me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah.
We play this game called Is Nikki Listening? And I knew she kind of wasn't. I mean, granted, you were working. I get it. Like, you were, doing things. Yeah. And I read it, and I was from Avita Arce and Margaret Bedachek from New York. So first, a casting agency reached out to Margaret. Then Margaret reached out to more Lindy Hoppers in New York to see if they were available to audition for this music video. And in the email, Avita basically says, not sure if they're going to take you, but it's worth a try. And I was like, okay. And in the email itself, it said they were looking for all types of Lindy Hoppers, especially Lindy Hoppers, specifically. And specifically more, they were looking for brown and black dancers.
Right.
And right off the bat, we were both like, well, you're blonde.
I was like, oh, I'm out.
But we thought about it a couple minutes.
Yeah, we thought about it, and I definitely had the feeling like you should definitely apply, regardless of if they're interested in me or not.
Yeah.
You should definitely apply because it's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
And you should jump at it.
And we'll jump into more of that reasoning why we do it, not just because we're out in LA or anything, but mostly just because it's fun.
Well, that was the biggest thing too, is that the filming was going to be in New York. So right off the bat, we kind of thought even applying was a long shot.
Totally.
And probably being booked would be very unlikely.
We thought pandemic, so what the hell? So we quickly wrote up an email. Luckily, my weirdly organized self found headshots, and Nikki knew exactly what videos to send, so we sent a couple videos on YouTube. And we sent it out just thinking, what the hell, why not? It was like a Thursday, mm-hmm. And we sent it out not thinking anything of it. Then rolls around about, I think, Sunday,
yeah.
Because we weren't working that day.
Yeah, we were putting up Christmas lights.
Yeah.
Mikey came over to put up Christmas lights before we were going to go skating.
Yeah.
And he was up on a ladder, and my phone was ringing. I'm like, hey, New York's calling. Should I answer it?
We both didn't think anything of it. And then I think it both hit us at the same time. It's like, it might be the music video.
We're like, no.
And as you were looking at your phone answering it, I was looking at my phone, and I know I got a call 10 minutes or 5 minutes before. And I looked at it and looked at the transcript, and I was like, I'm from casting agency. I was like, oh, no way. They're calling us.
Mm-hmm. So we took the call, and it was someone named Roxy, mm-hmm. who immediately right off the bat was like, we're calling to book you for this music video. And we were like, whoa. And we're both on speakerphone, but wait, we don't, what do you mean?
And they're asking us for hey, can you send us a selfie of what you look like? Make sure you guys still look like your pictures. And we're like, okay, yeah. And in that process, we were both like, I'm a brown man and she's a white woman, right? And they're like, yeah.
Send us a selfie.
Yeah, send us a selfie. Okay, send us a selfie. I think the person we were talking to was a couple steps below of what the actual casting agency was, an assistant. So then we get a call back from the actual casting manager, Millicent, mm-hmm. and she was talking to us all about stuff and everything. We were already booked.
Yeah, but we were kind of like, but we're in California. We don't know how this works. What about COVID?
And
like,
then,
what do we do?
And then they were like, we'll call you back real quick. And we're like, damn it, we lost it. Okay. They call us back about 10 minutes later, and they're like selling us now. They're like, you have to do this. This is how it's going to be. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be big like this. It's for Jon Batiste and all this stuff. And we're like, whoa, slow down. Like, holy shit. They're basically saying yes.
And we're saying we're willing to travel, but we don't know what that means to travel. Are you going to cover our travel? Are we going to cover our travel? Are we allowed to travel? We didn't know what the rules were.
And they were still making up their own rules for COVID precautions and all this other stuff and learning process of the whole thing. And little thing that maybe a lot of people don't understand about these productions is they come together super last minute.
Oh my God, everything is last minute.
Yeah, and they're up for hours. They're up 24 hours, everybody in production, and we'll get into that more later. But they went out, found answers from directly the director and the choreographer, the director being Alan Ferguson, who is Solange Knowles' husband, but also like has directed so many amazing music videos. And Jamel McWilliams, who is an amazing Emmy Award-winning choreographer. Yeah. And he's amazing. Again, more about them later. But during this call, Melissa, like she's selling us on this idea that we are needed for this. Like they wanted us. They were like the first ones they saw, and then they immediately knew to hire us.
Yeah, and it was such a crazy experience because we felt like they were telling us why they needed us so badly, and we were just like, we felt like we just kept saying yes over and over again, and they kept trying to convince us.
But they were like, hold on, we're gonna put you on hold. We're gonna get the director. We're like, hey? Oh, okay. So they put us on hold, and the director comes on, and he's got this booming voice, and it's just so good and like clear. And then he starts selling us on the idea of the music video. We're like, okay. He's like, I want it to look like this. I want it to look like a juke joint, like the Savoy Ballroom. And he started hitting all of like the really good points. Like he did at least a bit of research before knowing specifically to say Lindy Hop, the Savoy, like Hell's a Poppin', which comes up a lot of the times when you're doing productions like this. But I think at the same time, he was saying it was such a passion, like he really felt it.
Right, and he was also talking about us as a partnership and how he really wanted dancers who were an actual partnership, who had been working together for years, he even referenced like pulling out this trick that you did 10 years ago that you're going to bring back for this video. And like he knew what it means to be in a dance partnership.
Yeah, and later we'll come to find that Alan was just, to be a director like that is just amazing because he saw everything come to fruition in his brain before anything actually happened production-wise. And it was hard at times to see some visions, but then when we saw it in the middle of it, we could see it completely. And when we saw the finished product, like it was like, wow, like that's exactly what they were going for. Like that's exactly what they envisioned.
That first discussion that we had with him, and then to see the final product, like he really, really knew exactly what he was going for the entire time. Yeah. And it was amazing. And
then we got a chance to talk, and we asked him and the casting director, who was also on the call, about the idea that in their email that they talked about how they wanted all kinds of dancers, but they specifically wanted brown and black.
All
and we
ethnicities,
all ethnicities. And we said, well, Nikki's blonde and white. Is that gonna be a problem? Like, do we need to do? It's like, it doesn't matter.
He's like, no, we're inclusive.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And from that conversation, they also made it sure that like they do want it to lean much more to black dancers and have it be this black art form being pushed up by black dancers. And we completely wholeheartedly agreed. And that's one of the things where like, once you figure out that this is exactly what the community, our community, Lindy Hopper's community, and the rest of the world, especially Americans, needed at this moment, was to see black dancers uplifted with their own dance. Mm-hmm. It felt good, and they also felt good that they wanted us specifically after
to be a part of that. Yeah, and especially for me, feeling like, I don't know, like a guest in this situation and still being invited and welcomed by the people that are producing it. And I think it's notable to say like this entire production was a black production, from casting, the director, the choreographer, the artist to wardrobe. Like everybody that we spoke to and interacted with, and I just felt so, I don't know, humbled to be invited into this situation.
You were one of, I believe, 2 white people.
That's
and
right.
2 white women.
That's right. And the whole thing.
But it was awesome. It felt great. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later because we want to go timeline-wise. But then, after this whole conversation of selling us, like, it just felt like they were just, like, pushing us. And it's so cool because, like, people in the industry like that, they really want to push their ideas out there and make you dream about what their dream is. And it was very clear to us that they were going for a really specific thing and really cool thing. After that conversation, we're like, okay, I guess we're gonna fly ourselves out there. And they're like, great.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then we're like, code restrictions. They're like, we'll let you know. Okay. And we look into it. We don't go skating that day.
No,
we go on our computers. We try to figure it out.
We found COVID tests. Basically what we realized that we had to do was we had to start quarantining right then and schedule a COVID test right away and then continue to quarantine until we left. Because like we said, everything happened so last minute.
Yeah, everything was on Sunday. And then a few hours later, maybe 2 hours later, Millicent texts us and says, Jamel, the choreographer, is going to be calling you. And we're like, that's interesting. It just, you don't really see that person until you like get to rehearsals or you're on set in general. And what we come to find out is Jamel is such an integral part of the whole situation as well. Jamel and Alan and Jon Batiste, like, they are the driving force of what made this whole thing happen. Jon with the music, Jamel with the idea of the choreography and what he brought, and Alan to put it all together with his idea of the juke joint rocking and then moving from the past to the present and bringing all that energy with them. And Jamel is just amazing, and he's like, if you read his Instagram, he's the vibes guy, and like he puts out a vibe that is incredible always. Yeah,
he was amazing. He talked to us on the phone as he was driving through Hollywood.
Yeah. And we're like, oh, you're on the West Coast too.
Yeah, so we had a little connection just right away, just knowing that he was from LA and just connecting with him right off the bat. He, again, was telling us why he wanted us so much to be a part of this, again, as a partnership and as...
Just a little closer, just in case. Sorry.
Like
she doesn't work with a microphone very often.
It's too close. But again, he was selling us on the idea of being a part of this and that how much he loved that we had this energy together and we also had a little bit of a modern vibe, which we were kind of like,
ooh, good.
Okay. We like that.
Yeah. There's this thing that always happens. I always feel like there's like, everybody's really nice in the whole film industry and everything, and they really do mean it, but it's just sometimes off-putting because you're not used to it. So you're like, ugh, like, do they really mean that? And like, yeah, they wouldn't say it if they didn't mean that. Like, especially someone like this that we off the bat connected with, and he asked for a bunch of clips, not of us, but of the old school clips, as in the like legendary Whiteys and the Hoppers. Like, we would send them some Dean Collins stuff and Jewel Gown, like everything we could possibly, we would send him an email and like send it back to him. And I didn't think he was gonna look at that necessarily, but we come to find he did.
He studied them.
He studied them.
And found the things he liked
exactly.
in all the clips that we sent and even could reference them later.
Yeah. And after that, we're just like, well, we have to. And like, we're just like stunned at that point. Like, is this really happening? We go and get some tests. We get on a Delta plane, and we're just like, oh my God, we're traveling through a pandemic.
And we've been pretty, for the most part, pretty conservative as far as, you know, neither of us had been on a plane since January of last year.
We're coming back from Liddy Focus.
Right, and so we didn't really know what to do, and we were both super scared to be in an airport, and we got our hands on some N95 masks, and we kind of stayed huddled together and away from other people
as much as we could.
The entire travel,
and so as everybody else was being super respectful out there as much as they could. And security at the airport were definitely like telling people wear your mask and all this stuff. And waiting in line for Starbucks is a whole different thing now. And we get on the plane and there's hardly anybody on the plane.
Yeah.
And it felt nice and it felt good. And Delta was one of the first ones, and now everybody has to do it, to wear masks. So it was super, super safe. They give you like Purell and a Purell wipe to like wipe down everything around you. We brought our own wipes, everything. We're saying this mostly just not to like be like, we did it right, but like it's pretty good to fly. I'm not gonna say everyone should, but if you have to, like it's the precautions are there.
Yeah, I was really nervous to fly just because I was so afraid that we'd get this test, it would be negative, then we'd catch it on the plane on the way there, and so to just feel like everything actually felt pretty safe on the way, it was really nice.
N95 masks are really funny because like I didn't think anything of them, even though I used to use them way back in the day at the hospital. But I had it on the whole time, and then I took it off to take a sip of water, and it was 2 hours into the plane, right? And then I was like, whoa, my nose was just invaded by orange juice. Like someone behind me to my left was drinking orange juice, and I was like, what? That's crazy. And I put it back on, couldn't smell a thing. It was pretty awesome. So then we get to New York.
Yes.
And New York it was doing better at the time. I think we're probably all doing better now, but we're doing better than California in cases and new cases and whatnot.
And just for reference, this was the second week of December. So it was nice and cold when we got there.
Hi, Junie.
My son just came down the stairs in his underwear. Hi, Junie.
We're recording the thing, okay? Okay.
Would you like to say hi?
That's enough. Okay. And we get to New York and we get an Airbnb, and we still don't even know. They don't even know where they're going to shoot or have rehearsals. They probably had an idea, but they hadn't had confirmation at that point. But so we just get a place in South Harlem.
We got this amazing place in Harlem, and a lot of the reasons that we booked this place is because of the posters they had on the walls.
One of them over there.
Yeah, one of them's over here. I don't know if you can see, it's the Chick Webb and Ella Fitzgerald.
Let me move my big head out of the way.
From the Savoy Ballroom. And they had these posters up when we saw the pictures of the Airbnb, so we're like, well, duh, obviously we're going to stay there. So we booked this place. We get there, and it's amazing. It's
beautiful.
Perfect.
It's super big.
Yeah, it's this huge, spacious 2-bedroom apartment with a living room and a big kitchen.
And that was really important to us because we had to, on our research to get there, we had to figure out that we had to be quarantined as soon as we get there and get tested. And plus, we knew we were going to get tested on set. So we knew we had to stay there and just stay hunkered down until they were ready for us to rehearse. And so the kitchen made it perfect because we got all the stuff from Whole Foods delivered, and we just got feasted and watched Dexter for 3 days.
Yes.
It was great. Yeah, it was great. I was having the best time. I was like, we don't do anything. And the whole time we're speculating. We're speculating like how it's going to be. What are they looking for? Do they really want us? Like, oh my God, maybe we're not supposed to be here. Like all this kind of stuff over and over again, and just formulating a plan and writing things out, being like, we want to come ready to give.
Right. One of the things that Jamel had spoke to us about on the phone was remembering combos.
Yeah.
Come with material.
Yeah.
Come with the tricks that you do. Come with all these things. And we were kind of like, uh-oh. So we knew that we were going to need some space in whatever place we stayed in, that we would be able to practice and do things like that in the apartment.
Pause. Good job. Also, you had not danced since November, since you got a surgery on your whatever that's called.
I had knee surgery a month before, and I had been dancing a little bit here and there, but not like we were about to. Mm-hmm. And we definitely had to spend a little bit of time before we left going through what tricks would be possible, how dancing felt in general. We
hadn't listened to the song, and we didn't really put it together, but Alan, the director, had sent us out a video, or what is it called? Is it a dream board, or is it like a treatment? A treatment, and it says everything was the story of the video and some cool pictures in there, and it was just really, really beautiful. And he had like taken his cell phone and like put it up against the screen of his computer, played the song, which you didn't really know that was the song at the time,
right,
against the colorized version of How's It Poppin'. And we're hearing it for the first time. We're like, oh, that's really cool. That's not bad. That's really cool. And he sent this to us like himself, and it was just mind blowing. So we were like, when we got to New York, I was like, I think this is the song. This is probably the song. So we started sort of dancing to it, and the whole time being super cautious with your knee and not knowing how far we can go, stretching, being like, okay, what have we known all of these professional dancers to do, which is basically stretch constantly and make sure their body is always warmed up and ready.
Yeah, so we spent some time in the apartment going through all of the combos that we could think of that we've done in past routines that are classic Lindy Hop combos, are just pieces that we could pull from at a moment's notice without having to think about it for very long. And we knew coming in that it was going to be very likely that we might have to teach something. And I think something that's interesting about these kind of gigs is that you don't always know who you're working with. And so Mikey talked about speculation before. Like, one of the things we were speculating is, who are we dancing with? Like, we know there's going to be other couples.
We thought it would be Lindy Hoppers from New York.
Yeah, we thought for sure, okay, we're going to walk in, it's going to be some familiar faces. Yeah. Here's what we're going to bring to the table if that's the case. But I've also done these things many a time where I walk on set and realize that we're the only Lindy Hoppers. And then, we have to recognize as Lindy Hoppers, we have an agenda that we want for the world to see Lindy Hop, and
in the greatest light possible.
Right, and how we want our community to be represented and the dance to be represented. And those things don't always align with what the choreographer and the director have in mind. So yeah, speculation was a huge part of it. Like, we got to New York, we're quarantining, we are hoping and praying that we can pull this off.
And we get there. We finally get the chance to have rehearsals. We go to Open Jar Studio in Times Square. And this is our first time walking in Times Square. And we took a second to breathe in, and we're like, oh my God, we're in the middle of New York. Touristic New York, but still New York. And we're about to go to this Open Jar Studios. And we go in there, and it's the kind of place you'll see on movie sets and TV shows. It's a giant facility with giant rooms on the inside. Easily that room we were practicing in for those first 2 days was maybe 3 or 4 of Atomic. Yeah,
it was massive. And it was up on the 14th floor or something like that. And so it's just you can imagine us from California and going on this high-rise building into a dance studio and just being mesmerized by the entire situation.
They told us to be there around 11 or 10 or 9. I can't remember
11,
that day.
I think.
11 that day. And we're well, let's get there early so we can, stretch and talk. And Jamel, we've met him for the first time, and Alan, the director, are having their own meeting about everything they're hoping to get, which runs way over. But they're like, hey, go away for another 2 hours. And then, and then we'll be ready for you. And we're like, okay, sorry. And dang it, we've messed it up already. We're done. We're going home.
They hate us now.
Yeah, so we walk around Rockefeller Center and come back, just kind of sightseeing and freezing our sad little Southern California hearts out. It's so cold. We should get some gloves. We come back, and we're finally bundled up a little bit. We come in, they're like, cool, we're still not ready for you, but go ahead and warm up. And we're like, how do you warm up?
But they were also I think it was Jamel or I'm not sure if it was Jamel or Alan, but they were get ready to show everything. And we're
I think it was Alan.
And we were the only dancers there at this point. So we're
this giant place
in the corner of this massive room, trying to warm up kind of discreetly.
How do we do this? Touch my toes. I think this is what people do. And then we're whispering in this giant place. We're what do we do?
Do you remember this combo? Then we do this. This trick and do.
Okay, How do I do that again? I'm pretty sure that's literally the conversation we had. And then we start dancing, and then we start feeling it out, and we get better and easier. And I'm like, okay, cool, we know how to do this. And I don't know if this is a thing for everybody, but I know for us, we have this thing that we doubt ourselves a little bit. And then once we start get going, okay, cool, we know how to do this. I think even before we started recording right now, we were just how do we talk? What are we doing?
That's the story.
Yeah. And then we started going, and it was cool. And Jamel and Alan ended their meeting, and Jamel and his personal assistant, as a dance assistant, D, come over, and they start talking to us. And they give us a whole rundown, and we watched some clips, and he likes this and likes that.
We sat down on the floor, and we pulled up some clips.
And we just chatted and talked for an hour at least. And he was just so full of energy and so cool. And it was so interesting because all we saw was his eyes because we're all wearing masks in there. And they have a COVID compliance person there from production who's making sure that like every 15 minutes they come around, hand sanitizer, and make sure that we're good, make sure we're wearing a mask okay. So we felt really safe. Granted, a little annoyed, but still in the safest way possible. Annoyed but safe. And we chat with Jamel, and we start going, and we get going, and then the biggest thing I remember from that first day was teaching Jamel and Dee how to do a swing out.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
In like 2 minutes.
Literally. We're like, here's the footsteps. Okay, he got it real fast, and he got the rhythm.
Yeah, and then Dee jumped in. She's like, oh, like this, and then they both just started doing it.
And Jamel started asking questions. He mean like this on 5 and 6? I was like, well, yeah, exactly that. Thank you. So we're awesome teachers, but we're never that awesome. That was definitely Jamel and Dee, and Jamel showing us that he cared.
Just
he cared enough to.
A pro, like both of them, such a pro. And Dee is a Broadway performer as well, and her and Jamel have been
friends for a long time.
Friends and worked together a lot over the years, and it was just so cool to see them just immediately get it.
Yep, exactly. And from there on, we danced the entire rest of the time.
Yeah, they sat in chairs, and we danced, and just exactly what we had planned for. Like we knew in this situation, like. We'd kind of asked questions about who else is coming in, and we had heard some names of people they were talking to who weren't available. So we knew the names of the other dancers at this point, and we knew that none of them were Lindy Hoppers that they were familiar with. So we start breaking down all of the stuff that we had prepared to show Jamel and Dee, and we took a lot of video with them, and so he could review it later.
And it was such a crazy process because it's something I've seen in many films of dance companies and interviews and such, where there's a main choreographer, the assistant choreographer, and the dancers. So we don't have this title, but I basically attributed it to being assistant choreographers, as in like whatever Jamel said, that was the law. We made that happen as best we could, and he would give notes. So what happened in that first one, we would do a bunch of combos. He's like, here's the California routine, right? Here's Trinky Doo, here's Big Apple, bunch of little things. Like, here's a little piece that we like, here's another piece that we like. And he would watch it a couple times to the music, and we would do it, and he would give, okay, I like that part, and I like that part. But then he'd do this thing where he's like, sometimes I'll do this, where I'll just like look at you.
And stare.
And just trust me, I'm there. I'm just thinking about it. And sometimes he would just do that and just stare at you.
For a very long time. Still staring.
Yeah.
It was like he would see it. He would see it manifest.
Mm-hmm.
He would see the pieces that he liked from one combo or another combo, and he would see them go together, even if he didn't quite know how the pieces connected.
And he would be able to tell us exactly what he wanted. And sometimes this is the funny thing, and this is something I attribute to completely your experience doing a lot of these things, is that Jamel and Nikki would like talk to each other and stare at each other and like do this thing, and I'd be over here going, what the fuck is happening? And just looking at them. I'm like, yeah, Jamel, totally. And then when me and Nikki walk away, I'd be like, you got that, right? She's like, yeah, I got it. No worries. You're gonna do this, and this. And I was like, okay.
We had a nice little connection there where I felt like I could see where he was going.
I mean, the whole thing was like, you said it best in a Facebook post, where it was just a master class on choreography and dancing and production, whatever, making it together, putting it together.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned this earlier that, we have our agenda.
Cheers.
We have our agenda as Lindy Hoppers and what we want to get out there, but these guys are entertainers. They know exactly what they're going to put out there for an award show that's just going to hit and hit and hit. And so when he's watching our material, let's say he's watching California routine, and that's swing out, circle, tuck turn, inside turn, and all he sees is cool move, filler, cool move.
Yeah.
So as Lindy Hoppers thinking about the entertainment industry, you have to kind of change the way that you see the dance. And that's a lot of why, people are production people or directors or these choreographers are drawn to things like A Day at the Races and Hell's a Poppin', is because that's also what they're seeing there. Exactly. They're seeing the dynamicism, all the time, as opposed to the little things that we think are so important as Lindy Hoppers, like those tuck turns and inside turns and intricate footwork. They don't care about that stuff.
Because they don't have the time. If you think about the final product of the music video, it's just quick flashes, and they're great. They're the best parts of everything we put together and help put together as a team, like the dancers that we'll talk about in a minute, and Jamel and us and Alan. I think we have to know that we're so lucky to have this amazing film like Hell's Poppin' that didn't cut. It went and showed the dance exactly how it needs to be, and that's why it's one of the best. And like when you think of other films that are just like that as well, there are very few where they just don't cut. It's just them, because at the end of the day, as much as we know we are experienced and what we can bring to the table and the ideas and the legacy behind it, it's Jon Batiste's video. He's the star, and that's how it should be. Like, and we knew that going into it, but we still had to work our ass off, and it felt so amazing to be able to walk in there with someone that we didn't know, we immediately clicked with, spoke the same language. Well, they spoke the same language, and I was able to rely on you as well, because you had so much experience doing that I was just like, holy shit, I'm so glad. Like, there's no one else in this world that could have done this rather than you, because you have had that much experience doing it. And the whole final product of the day was this like masterclass, one thing after another. I'm learning a ton, you're learning a ton, he's learning from us, and we're just like this whole synergy. And then Dee as well. Dee is this like production assistant, assistant choreographer. I'm not exactly sure. I apologize for not knowing the title, but she was amazing. She was taking notes on everything.
Oh man,
like handwritten notes.
I want
on
that
everything
for all of our rehearsals.
And it
just
was
somebody to sit there and take notes,
notes and video, and make sure that she got everything for Jamel to review after the fact. So we do this whole 8-hour, almost 10-hour, because we got there early, rehearsal, and we're wasted, but like so energetic. And we were talking to ourselves the whole time. We're like, we're gonna reward ourselves at the end of this week with pizza.
At the end of the week. At the end of the week.
Yeah.
Because we're so keto snobs that we were gonna stay keto the whole time.
We're gonna try. And we get out of that rehearsal, we walk into Times Square, it's flooded now with people, as opposed to earlier that day, it was like just nobody. And it's flooded with people, and we're just like, oh my God, we're calling our parents, I'm calling my parents, you're calling your parents, you're calling your kids. And we're like, oh my God, this is so crazy. And we're so full of life because of this experience we just had. And we're like, we need pizza. We will get pizza. And so we walk around Times Square, we walk back up, and like up like towards, I think it's Hyde Park, right? Where the ice skating, like we find that part, and we're just in awe with New York, and walking around
at Christmas time,
going back and forth,
so
like,
beautiful.
What did you love? What did I love? Oh my God, and this, and like he got it, he knew it, he got this ring out in 10 minutes, like it's so crazy. And then we go back up north, and we find this 99-cent pizza place, and we get one pizza slice there because we're like, okay, we're just gonna try this.
First pizza,
and it was great. It was already
so
off the bat. Then we go back up to South Harlem, where we knew there was a pizza place next to us, and it's like, think of any 80s movie of New York. Then think of them going to a pizza spot. Whatever you're thinking, that's exactly the place that we went to.
Exactly.
It was like owned by an old like boxing champ or something like that, like local boxing champ.
Do you remember the name of it?
No, not.
We're gonna have to look it up.
I'll look it up in a
We'll
minute.
have to put it in whatever notes go along with this video podcast.
And we go there and we're like complete slobs, and we each get 2 giant New York slices, like
massive pieces of pizza.
And we finished them.
Yeah, we did. We carried them home.
Yeah.
We went back to our little apartment.
Feet up the wall and eating pizza, watching Dexter, and then we died. And then we wake up the next day and do it all over again. We're so achy already.
Oh my God, we were so sore. And granted, this is the first time, not in just a month, that I had done aerials. And like, aerials I haven't done in years, but this is the first time in years and years and years that I have done aerials like this, because my knee just couldn't take it. And so we're in this situation where, you know, that first rehearsal, we were throwing all this air. So then we have to go back and do this all the next day after being so incredibly sore.
And here's another thing, sorry to come in, but like another amazing thing about Jamel and your connection was that you both had the same surgery. He had it on both knees, right?
Yes.
What is it called?
This was the meniscus surgery.
Meniscus surgery. And for Nikki, she had just got it done a month prior. And so they were bonding over that. And so him knowing that, constantly checked in with Nikki. Are you okay? Yes. How does your knee feel? The whole rest of the time. So from the first rehearsal all the way through the shoot, the very end, he was still asking about that. So it's something that was very special to us, because like he was taking care of us,
right.
and we felt taken care of by him.
This was the first gig I've done where I felt taken care of as a dancer. And I think that is a huge testament to Jamel. 100% Jamel.
Yeah.
He was always paying attention to us.
Exactly. We get to the second rehearsal and we're like sore, but like we're starting to stretch, and we see
the other dancers
and we're like, okay, they're not Lindy Hoppers, no problem, we're gonna try it. And we knew what we were gonna do that day. Jamel brings us all together, and he does a little quick powwow and like gets the vibe up and like gets laughing, and we're all wearing masks. Like a new COVID compliant lady who would be there throughout the rest of the shoot.
And we got tested at the beginning of rehearsal also.
Yeah, every day we got tested. It was pretty crazy. They would bring in a doctor, do the nose swab all the way in the back, and then just test it, and they would leave. And we're like,
I guess we're negative.
I guess we're negative. Okay, they'd like black bag us and like take us out of there, right? Okay. And so we get there, and Jamel's like doing the pep talk, and it's super great, and we start talking about each other, and it's really cool. And we know right away that all of them that auditioned pretended, or like, yeah, I know Lindy Hop, here's some swing dancing, like, and they had some like Charleston, some little experience. But here's the thing: it didn't matter, because they were so good at moving their bodies and controlling themselves that they picked it up in about a half an hour.
Yeah. So we walked into rehearsal knowing that day that we were going to have to train them in some sort of Lindy Hop. And so we kind of had a plan for, okay, well, we're going to start with the 8 count basic. We're going to get them going on 8 count basic. We're going to get them doing the swing out. And then we're going to focus on a tuck turn, an inside turn, and a circle with a break. That way we had this little piece that they can run over and over again that they would be able to use to get in and out of anything else that we ended up showing them. And so we jumped right in, and right off the bat, we knew these guys were just
amazing,
killer dancers. I don't know many of their background. I believe, let's see, Denzel's done a ton of music videos.
A ton of production work.
Yeah, he's
worked with
an
Jamel
amazing dancer.
Mary Ellis has been on Broadway and been a dancer.
She's like a champion Latin dancer, and she was also in, what was that other movie? Idlewild.
Oh yeah.
She was a dancer in Idlewild. I don't know what she did in that movie, but she's in there.
And there's
Tatiana, who I know is like a Pilates instructor and a ballerina, and she's done all kinds of commercial work as well.
And Tislam.
Yeah. And I don't know his background.
Tislam.
Yeah, I don't know his background, but just amazing dancers. And I believe that Tatiana and Tislam had auditioned together.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so that's why they were partnered together.
Yeah.
But Denzel and Marialis had not partnered together. They were chosen as individuals and put together. So here we are. And
they were already preordained by Jamel to be like, you will be the ones that are going to fly. You're going to be the one that comes in and jumps out of the photo. And we're like, jumps out of the photo?
Yeah, what's happening? Yeah.
Like, okay, that's cool. And then I think in teaching them the swing out, teaching them some basic swing dance, we also taught them a lot of the history, and they were asking questions, and they were just like, they soaked it in a way that we hoped it would be good, because they were like this the whole time with masks over their face. And so they're like wide-eyed, and we're like, are you getting it? And they're like, yeah. And they hardly asked questions, they just did. And if they asked questions, they were really poignant, and they were really good, and then we moved on.
Here's the thing, like, we're so used to teaching, some random person off the street. It's their first time doing Lindy Hop, and as Lindy Hop instructors, we've kind of become accustomed to spoon feeding every little bit of information to our students. But in this case, like, they just picked up so much. Like, we could say it once and they got it.
And it's a skill.
They could look at us and they got it. And it was just incredible. Like, we moved through material like you wouldn't believe. Yeah.
By the end of the second hour, where we were trying to teach them Charleston and like just how to feel it out and doing it a bunch of times of music, Jamel was watching us and saying, okay, now do this one. Now do this combo, or teach them this combo, and teach them this combo. Okay, I don't like that part, let's change that part. Okay, now teach aerials. And we're like, okay.
Yeah.
So, and he knew already with the material that we gave him of like the history of swing dancing on video, and then our own verbal explanation of it, and his own knowledge, he just put it all together and could see it. He would run into the room, like talk to us, watch us, and like not even like look at us for a little bit, and then all of a sudden like say like 2 minutes worth of notes, and then we're like, cool, and we moved on, and it was so great and so straightforward without hurting anyone's feelings. He knew where the roles, we all knew our roles, and so he didn't hurt anybody's feelings. He just said it straightforward. He said it in a great way. He said it in an uplifting way, and it made the difference. It really did.
Yeah, it really did. It was amazing. So we helped them work out a little bit of choreography for Shauna and Jon.
Yeah, the main, like Jon being Jon Batiste and the main love interest, the woman with the afro.
So at the very end of the video, they do a little bit of choreo. So we helped them come up with that, and then they took Jon and Shauna into another room, and we were left to train aerials with the two other couples. And there's a lot of aerials, like I mentioned before, that I haven't done in years, but I know how to teach them because I used to do them, and it was amazing to see. I mean, we taught them a Frankie flip in
around the back,
5 minutes into a snatch.
Into a snatch. Like Jamel saw, he's like, I want that. Like that looks iconic to me, and I'm like, that is iconic. Like that is the combo. Like going and doing the over the back, and then doing the snatch, and then going through the legs. Like he wanted that whole thing, and we're like, we can try, and we definitely got there to a point where like we did it, but very slowly with Denzel and Mariellis, and then it came to a point where I believe we were just like didn't feel super comfortable about it, and we came to Jamel, and Jamel was like, cool, cut that one out. What do you feel comfortable with? This one, cool. That was a snatch, and so it was like, do the snatch, and they were like, great.
Yeah.
Again, another testament to the fact that Jamel was taking care of us as dancers. We're the principal dancers. That means the ones that are mostly going to be featured in it. And damn, it felt so good to be like, as opposed to like hide an injury or anything, you could be like, this doesn't feel right. And he's like, cool, X that out. Let's focus on the thing that feels right.
Yeah, it was just amazing. Luckily, Tatiana and Tislam came with a couple like tricks. Combos and tricks that they had worked out together on their own. I don't think that actually ended up being in there, but
just one part. It got switched out.
One little part, but they it was really cool to see like what they were bringing, and
they wanted to do like around the back, and then like hold the leg, and then bring it back, and then throw it over,
backflip,
and it looked really cool. Like they got to a point that they were like executing it, but then Jamel knew. He was like, that's too slow. Again, it's like filler, and we're like, yeah, that's the problem with the move. And he's like, is there anything else? And we're like, maybe I'll drop. Okay, cool. You like jump into it, and you jump out of it, and he's like, perfect.
Yeah. So there's the thing that Jamel was going for, and I think that's really important to note, is that we're looking for flashes, because Jamel knows the big picture. He knows that it's going to be on Jon, it's going to cut quickly to the dancers, and then it's back on Jon. Cuts to the band, it's back on Jon. Cuts to the dancers, it's in a new place. So he knows this all the time. So if anything took more than an 8 count, even like a 6 count at that point, it's too long. And so we had to, so we talk about this being a master class for us as dancers and choreographers, because we have to start thinking that way, not as Lindy Hoppers, as entertainers. And where does the flash go? Where's the pop? Because we don't want it to cut to the dancers when they're in between movements. So that was something that we had to really focus on for ourselves, and trying to simplify things that we were doing.
And it makes sense. It's like, it's not one size fits all. It is definitely come to the table with what you know, but then be ready to creatively interact with other creatives around you. Jamel, the other dancers in this case, Dee, possibly the director when we get there, Alan when we get there, like all these kind of different factors, and be ready at an instant to change something up. And I think that is a skill that needs to be born within us as Lindy Hoppers, and that's really, really positive. It's really cool that we all as Lindy Hoppers can be going for the deep cuts, digging in the crates for looking for what else is in there besides like the cool stuff that we know, that's overarching idea of Lindy Hop. But like we dig so far away from that sometimes that we forget like that's still really cool. Like those moves right there are really great. So don't discount them.
And you have to remember that somebody new is looking at it. It's new eyes on it. Like we've seen all of this stuff for so long that we forget what's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
But people from the outside see it and they're like, wow, that simple, that baby doll drop is so dynamic and so cool. And then we have to remember that, okay, these new eyes think this thing is awesome. So let's do it. Let's go for it.
So the whole second day is us teaching them how to Lindy Hop and doing some tricks and coming up with different combos. And we end that first day with a jam, which is really, really beautiful. And he just puts on the song, Jamel puts on the song, and we all just go out there one at a time. And
Even Jon and Shauna, the lead. And I'm not one to jump out in a jam. And
when's the last time you guys saw it?
It's just not me. I love that people are so comfortable doing that, and I love to cheer them on.
Exactly.
It's just not for me. But in this particular jam, we're jamming to I Need You, the song, and each dancer had to basically call in another dancer, and Shauna, the lead, came in and called me in, and I jumped out there like
I think you almost like ran her over a little bit.
So fast. I know. It's hard to express what the feeling was in the room, and something that we actually didn't mention, but before we even began that first rehearsal, we went around the room and we introduced ourselves and we talked about
we did talk about
what we do and where we're coming from, and it just, by the end of the day, we were just it was just such a strong connected group, from the director to Jon to Jamel to all of us dancers, and the energy that they were all bringing into this situation. We just all felt it.
Yeah, it was really great. We felt it, we felt the energy, but we still didn't quite know how it was all going to come together. And that brings us to the third day. Yeah. The third day, we're in a different location, a little bit smaller, a lot of bit smaller, but still an amazing facility, dance spaces.
This is like the ones that you see in it's like Broadway behind the scenes, where there's a piano in every room, and there's, you hear people singing in one room and tap dancing in another, and yeah, exactly.
It's just one of those places that's filled with private spaces. And we get there, and we get tested again, and everybody's stretching, and nobody can see each other. We all got masks on. Jamel walks in,
so sore, so beat up at this point,
and we're talking a little bit here and there, and Jamel walks in, and he's like big and animated, and gets us all pepped up, ready to go. And he's like, "Wait, I don't like this room. The feeling of this room is different. We gotta go over here." So we're like, "Okay, cool." And he was right. The other room was way better. Like it just conducive to the whole thing. And again, those little things can matter, and it can matter. And if you let it matter, then do something about it. And that's what another thing we learned from him is, like, you can help the vibe of the people around you just by pepping it up or like talking about it. So anyways, we go into the whole, the third and last rehearsal, and we're like, oh man, we get beat up. And he's starting to give exact choreography to exact moments, and it's all over the place. One time we're working in the middle, and then we're going to end, and then we're back to the beginning, and then we're somewhere between that, and then somewhere between, and he's like, just this part, and he's staring at us, not saying anything, and then saying something, and we're like, cool, and I'm like, Nikki, you got that? And she's like, yeah, I totally got it. And I was like, ugh. By the end of the day, Nikki wasn't getting it, and I was getting it, and then we were asking each other. We were so sore, and and Jamel was still pushing us.
After lunch. We had something happened where they had ordered us lunch, and it got canceled, and they ordered again, and it got canceled, and this was like an hour after lunch, and it was no big deal. Yeah. But we were pushing through. We were like waiting and waiting, but we all really, really needed this break. Yeah. So Jamel comes in, and he's just, in his magic way. Yeah.
He's like, bring everybody in. Come here.
Yeah, he just gives us this pep talk that we all desperately needed, but didn't know we needed in that moment.
And we are finally able to run the entire song, which we were never going to do on set, but he wanted to see it. He wanted to record it. He wanted to show it with Jon. He wanted to show it with Alan. He asked for it 3 times. We need to do it all the way through 3 times, and then we're done for the day. And mind you, that we're getting really close to 9 o'clock, which is basically the end of our rehearsal time. And we jump into it full head of steam, like we're like barely kicking. It hurts so much, but we're all getting it through, and we see the whole process. We see where every part fits in, and we're like, wow, this is incredible. This is so great. And we're feeling it, and we're doing it with Jon, and him and Shauna are doing their parts in the front, and we're moving around each other, and we're figuring it out. And it just came together. We saw it finally, and we were super excited.
We felt it come together, and I think a lot of that has to do with not just Jamel and Dee, giving us those positive vibes and like reminding us of what choreography was coming, but also like the energy that Jon brought to the space. He's such a joyous human being that you walk in the room and just start singing, and there's nothing else you can do but just be in the moment with him.
It's an amazing spirit that Jon is. The closest I've ever been to something or somebody like that is in Chester Whitmore.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is just a creative spirit that just goes around making these amazing works of art, and you can't help but be affected by it. And I think every time he walked in the room, it was definitely electric, even more so. And so, it being his project as an artist, we wanted to back him up, and make sure this whole thing became the idea realized from the director, from Jamel, from Jon. And we left that day, go home, we're so tired, we grab pizza. Again.
But it was even a longer day because rehearsal had gone over like an hour, and then we had to do wardrobe after that, and then it was even longer because I had to consult with all of the follows wardrobe too, because a lot of the dresses were too long
for doing hairstyles and such.
So and then I had them running around at 10 o'clock at night trying to find kids for the girls to wear.
It's so interesting because like we as dancers have never had that much creative say, and we always like say it, but we know like they're gonna do their own thing. But Alan was in the room, the whole wardrobe team was in the room, and you and all the follows were in the room, Mary Alice and Tatiana, and like figuring this shit out because it's not easy. And they took all the notes and they made it happen the next day, and it was so incredible.
I couldn't believe this wardrobe team. They took all of our outfits, all of them. They were fixing your jacket, they were fixing my skirt, they were fixing Mary Alice's skirt. I mean, everything was custom to make it so that we could dance in these items and not get hurt. And that was so amazing because it doesn't happen ever. I mean, I could tell you all kinds of horror stories from these kinds of things.
Just don't say Dancing with the Stars when you're around.
Shoot me. But never again. And it was just so cool to be in a situation where they truly cared and respected what we had to say.
And actually did something about it.
Cared about the dancers and our safety.
And the next day we come in and we're like, oh my God, we don't know how we're going to do this. And that call time, I think, was like 8 or 9. We get there early, as typical. Like, we're just like, we want to make sure that we're there just in case.
And get tested
again. And this time it's the whole production crew, which is a production crew from Montreal, I believe. But everybody behind the camera, basically, at that point, and doing lights. And we meet the assistant director, who's this amazing, funny, dry-witted woman. And I completely forgot the name. Do you remember the name?
Amy?
Possibly.
I don't remember.
AD, right?
AD.
And just so good to us, and making sure she was great and having good energy, drive and good energy. And we're waiting back there. They get us in hair and makeup. They get us in our costumes, and we finally go out there to shoot our first scene.
And we have no idea what this first scene is going to be.
We wait around for like 4 or 5 hours of that.
Yeah, we have an idea of what scene we're walking into, but we don't really know exactly what scene we're walking into, so we're kind of ready for anything. And in these situations, it's kind of that. It's a lot of waiting around and then go. Exactly. And then wait around and then go. And so you just have to be on, ready to go all the time. So we finally get into this space.
And it's the art studio. It's like a, not art studio, it's a, it's art studio.
It's like gallery.
Art gallery. And that's where, now if you've seen the video, you see that's where the whole thing begins. And we go from the point where we're jumping out of the picture into the real world and backing up Alan.
Backing up Jon.
Backing up Jon. And from then on, it's also our solo, and then all the way to the end. So it's from the middle all the way to the end. And so we had to shoot that at least 20 times. Something like that.
To start off, they brought in a platform.
Yeah.
So we had to jump off a platform several times into this position where we're now all in this group behind Jon. And something that, again, coming back to Jamel and taking care of the dancers, he had me do it maybe twice. And then he pulled me off and had me jump in from the back because of my knee. And he was watching me, and he knew that this was the thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's just so amazing. Like I said before, I've never felt so taken care of. Anyway, so we do this jump in a few times. And then, like Mikey said, this is the part where we go all the way to the end, which is so exhausting.
And it's so exhausting for us because we have the solo that is like we have to do over and over again and make sure we do right. And we had a couple times where we messed up. Also because typical, every time I wear any sort of suspenders and I'm dancing, they always break. They always something goes wrong. Yeah. And so one broke a couple times, and the wardrobe people sewed it back together. And then did it a couple times, and then the other one broke, and they sewed it back together. And they're like, "You again? I know, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And just trying my best to like keep it together and make sure all this shit is happening. And like at some point, like my sweaters completely come off. Yeah. And you can see me kind of struggling a little bit with them. And
this was the first time I think we're in this moment, and then Mikey and I both had this moment where we're like, so glad we don't have a full solo. And that was the thing that like the other two couples had full solos, and we had a little bit of a we had half a solo, and we were perfectly fine with this.
Totally fine.
100% fine with this. But in our solo, we do this group solo bit. We come back together as a full group. Then we do a duck and dive pancake into the whole ending sequence. And as Mikey's having trouble with his suspenders, I can't breathe because when I do duck and dive pancake, I cannot help but hold my breath. So coming out of that every single time and holding my breath and trying to push through to the end, oh my God. I've never been so tired.
And it's so great too because again, Jamel is in the back and Alan is in the back yelling at everybody, making sure the energy is so great. Look up, have fun, bring joy, like all this stuff, and it does help. It helps so much. It's like sort of like to the point where all of us dancers were starting yelling back at him, saying like, "Yeah, joy, come on, y'all,
you can see Mikey and I yelling at each other in the video."
Because we're like, they're not going to use that audio, obviously. So we're like having the best time trying to like just pump each other up, just like you normally would in any jam or any kind of social dance wherever you come from. Like that's exactly what we brought. But Jamel also brought that to the table, making sure that we reminded ourselves like we're having fun, we're doing this for the right reasons.
And the camaraderie that we had with all the other dancers and like this closeness that I think we all felt on set and like pumping each other up and like, come on, here we go again, we got this. And God, it's just, you don't feel that. We don't get to feel that often because typically, I mean, you do if you dance on a dance team, right? We're in a contest, we cheer each other on, but it's not this thing where we're like,
you're all working to the common goal.
Yeah, we're all just so close and connected in that moment.
Exactly.
And we all want each other to succeed.
Yeah. And I think in general too, like it continued because we shot that whole bit for like a couple hours and then we broke for lunch or dinner. And then they rearranged that whole art gallery to be the juke joint. So the same place that you see every bit of dancing is the same exact place, just made it look different behind the scenes. And we go back and we're all tired. We're wearing our masks. Like some of us had dinner, we're stretching, and we all go into the corner together. All 6 of us principal dancers, and we just start talking and just having fun. Like what hurts for you? Like, oh cool, what job did you do? Like how are you guys doing? What do you do for a living? And me and Nikki were just like, right before that, we were just like, let's just dance a little bit to keep warm. And like we social dance a little bit. And they're watching us they're like, is that Lindy Hop too? Like, yeah. They're like, you mean you don't have to do it super fast and do all the areas? I'm like, no. And they're like, well, why are we doing that?
They're like, you mean that's all improv?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
It was really cool to feel not only the camaraderie, but the respect that we don't feel like we're owed, but like the respect from a whole different community of dancers and people that we didn't know of before, and like us having already crazy amounts of respect for them for what they do and what they were able to bring to the table, and then feeling that energy, and they were like taking pictures of us and like videoing us, and we're like, oh, you guys actually like it, cool.
I know, and they really, really cared. They really cared about the history and even the evolution of how the dance changed, and they were asking us lots of questions, and it was just so great to be backstage and have that moment where we got to really just talk that out with them without pressure, without the stress.
We were like showing them like the differences between like in New York style swing out and a LA style swing out with like Frankie and Ann and Dean and Jewel and just showing it back and forth. And Mary Alice was like, that looks like West Coast swing. And we're like, exactly, that's where it comes from. Like, this is like the precursor. And she had known a little bit of that. And we're like, exactly. So it just goes to show you that, like, don't discount anybody just because they're from a different dance style. Like, actually, we all have a different flavor of what we enjoy about dancing. And we can really learn a lot from one another as long as we're open up towards one another. Yeah. And that's something that's just always driven home to us, and we kind of forget, and then we're reminded by it, and then it inspires us for so long.
We ended up, after dancing around a little bit, and we had a little bit more time, we started playing a little game that Tatiana had, and it was like a card game where you draw a card and you choose somebody to answer the question, and then you have to answer the question on the card. And I felt like, I don't know, we're all about to really get into it, you know, like we're gonna really get to know each other in this moment. And we got to answer a couple questions, and then they called us right back on set.
And we walked back into a whole different flavor. It was like, wow.
With all the extras. And this is the first time that we really got to see all of the extras, because in the art gallery scene, there was only one. And she wasn't even there when we were there. So we come back into this. I mean, there's a band on stage.
There's a curtain. There's a stage. Like it's a juke joint. Like they covered it so it looks different. The lighting is completely different, and it looks so beautiful. And one of the best parts was a band. A live band. A real band. Not just someone that hired an actor to play a saxophone, a bass, and a drum, but musicians. And Jon is up there, and the thing about him, again, the creative people, they see the thing that makes them want to create, and they're drawn to it. He played piano the entire time he was on stage. The band played with him. They just jammed. They jammed on I Need You. They jammed on different other songs. And every time they yelled cut, they would just keep playing.
And we couldn't help ourselves. So Mikey and I are just dancing the entire time because we're just so moved by, one, it's live music. Two, we're in this beautiful space with all these people, and we're all in these costumes, and we're just, it's real. Like it's not pretend at that point. Like we're all there, we're all feeling it. We're all feeling the same thing.
And all the extras added in there even more so, it felt like a social dance party. And mind you, again, we're all there because of our skills. We're chosen. Not only that, but we're there with tests because of COVID, because we are still in a pandemic, and they took care of us. Even as much as the COVID compliance person was definitely like pushing it, we're like, we know you're doing.
Here's why. Here's why they're pushing it. Because we would do these takes like we mentioned before, where we were dying. We were completely out of breath by the end of the take, and the COVID compliance people would come around, like insist we put our masks on. And anytime we weren't shooting, we had to wear a mask. So.
And they were like KN95 ones, so like they're not the full ones, but like they're pretty damn close.
Yeah. So when you're panting and you're out of breath and you have to put the mask on, it's tough.
Yeah.
You know. So. It was an interesting situation, but so in this last scene, it was that same thing. We would do a take, and then put our masks on, and then get to dance around to Jon for a little bit.
It was really cool. So that whole scene was basically the beginning all the way to the middle where we jump out of the picture. But then even then, they still continue to have the jam with all the extras who came in with their own dance choreographies and just like put it all together, and to the point where they would play the song 2 or 3 times, and we just watched this and we're like, holy shit, and we're like giving them energy and clapping along with them, and it was just so beautiful. And forgive us for not remembering everybody's names, but every single one of the extras you see on there brought something to the table as a dancer, and it was featured, and it was just amazing to also be surrounded by dancers like that are just like so ready to give at a moment's notice, and I commend them for waiting all day for their moment.
And they really took that opportunity to give it their all. There's this moment where we run and we jump out of the frame, and then we just had to sit down right where we were, and the cameras were right above our heads filming this, and we just got to take it all in. We got to sit and watch these extras just dance their hearts out.
Totally.
I think sometimes 2 times through, right? The whole song.
That's what I'm saying. Like they played the song twice. They played the song twice, 2 or 3 times at least, and then the band would just keep playing, and they play the song again, and it was incredible. And again, it's a testament to everybody that was chosen and that could see this whole production coming together, that it was going to be like that. And then we get to the last bit of the night for all the dancers, at least the principal dancers, before they wrapped us. They wanted to get one more or different angles of us jumping out of the picture, but like from the juke joint into real world. So we get that over and over again. So we start at the beginning, we go through the whole thing up until the jump out, and we're getting ready. We do it a couple times, and we're like, okay, one more time just to make sure we cover it. We're like, cool. But then the main light from above goes out. Like it makes the whole mood happen. Like you cannot have the filming without it. Yeah. And they're trying to figure it out, and it takes them a little bit longer than normal. And Jon and the band are jamming and everything, and they get stuck on one of the lines in the song.
When the AD walks out.
What was the line? What was the line? Was it For Your Love, right?
For Your Love, but it actually started because the AD walked out and she looks up to the light and she goes, I don't want to sing.
Say For the Light. For the light.
Says For the Light.
Yeah.
And then the entire room starts singing.
Yeah.
For the light.
But it was so cool because it felt like dun 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 for the light, and everybody was singing to the two production hands that were up on ladders trying to figure out how to do it. I felt bad, but I was like, oh my god, I really hope they do it for the light. Oh god, I'm so nervous. This is gonna be crazy. For your light. And
but
like
everybody
Jon
was just so into it. It
the
was
band,
so awesome.
Jon, the extras, the principal dancers, the production people were all like watching this moment
We're
happen.
all at church.
Yeah, and it probably was like 2 minutes, let's be
Yeah.
honest, but it felt like an hour. Where we
Yeah.
were just like chanting and doing this thing, and Jon is just leading the choir as he's become to be known as, like he's a leader of people through music, like and it was really evident right there. Jamel's out there, like Alan's out there, everyone, and then the light comes on, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna do it! Roll it one more time! And that was probably the most exciting
Oh my god,
one
we're all
had.
so incredibly pumped up and like ready to make this happen.
And me and Nikki are from across the room. She's over by Jon, and I'm on the other side, ready to enter into the scene. And we just look over and go, did that just happen?
Yeah.
Oh my god, did we really just like chant until the light came on? And they're like, okay, that's cool. And we do it one last time. They kill it. The extras kill it. We did great at it too. Like we all killed it. And then they're like, great, wrap all the dancers.
We're like, really? Okay.
Yeah, okay, let's go. And we take off, and everyone's like, we're just like feeling it. And it was really great because the extras got to do a couple more takes of other pickups and whatnot. And the principal dancers went back to the big open space where we were being held, the holding area. And we got to change and do some paperwork for production. And then Jamel came back just in time and talked to every one of us before we left. And like thanked us and like just gave us like a quick rundown, like a debrief. And it was just
he
beautiful.
talked to everybody, and then he pulled Mikey and I aside and sat down with us for a minute, and we just had a moment where we can kind of reflect, and we thanked us for our part, and we thanked him profusely for our part.
Yeah.
And God, it's just such magic.
It really was. The entire time we're so nervous, we're so anxious, but also knowing that this was going to be special.
Yeah.
Like, I think personally that you saw it before me. Like, you saw how special it was going to be. And when I finally did, like, during rehearsals, like, after that day where I thought I was going to die, my legs were going to fall off or something. Oh, mind you, quick side story, just a week, maybe not even a week, like 4 days before we sent, no, I was a day before we sent out the email, or was it the same day? I don't even know anymore. Something, a couple days before we sent out the email, my knee goes out. Yeah. My knee gets dislocated during doing like a big kick and bring it back, and I bring it back down, and it's like I can't move on it, and it dislocated. I had to like pop it back into place, and I thought it was like, oh my god, it was like a scary moment. It was like another injury. God damn it. Yeah. But nothing happened while we were shooting. Nothing happened while we were rehearsing. Nothing happened when we were walking around the street. Nothing happened at any moment. Everything was so
for
good.
both of us. And I think we both have been through so many injuries over the past years. And, you know, my 2020 was, I'm going to fix this damn knee. And I did. And this was a huge testament to that. Like, I can't believe the shit we pulled. Sorry. Well, I can say that.
Yeah.
I can,
this is our show.
I can say what I want. No, I can't believe the stuff we pulled off. And
we haven't done those aerials in years.
Well, what's crazy is that what you see on the video is such a moment of what we experienced, and is such a moment of what those dancers became as Lindy Hoppers.
Yep.
You don't even see it, you guys. Like I wish we had more like behind the scenes footage. I wish we could show you the rehearsal footage.
One day, hopefully we can, but I think in general, like it's one of those things too, where we got to give these other dancers like routines that we've done for so many years and like watch it from the outside and we're like, they're doing it better than we are.
Yeah, like routines that we came up with, not just like California routines or whatnot,
exactly.
but like our personal choreography pieces that we have done. And just to see them do it and do it better than us, and just, you know, I know a lot of people have these questions of why not use Lindy Hoppers, why not use dancers who already know this dance, but it's not that simple. And I think that's something that I wish everybody could take away, is that it's not always that simple. They don't always have access to the people that they should book. We can do our best when we are hired to try and gear them towards the people that they should book. But sometimes they have a vision in mind and they look for people that fit that vision.
And in this case, they definitely did. They definitely knew what the energy they needed and they wanted, and they found it in these dancers, in Tislam and Tatiana, in Denzel, and Mary Ellis. Like, Jamel knew what each dancer needed to do, and he made it happen. And he would talk to us over and over again, and then we'd see it in the final product, and we're like, holy shit, it actually worked. It completely worked.
And I know for myself, I was super scared and super apprehensive about being the only white person in this project, and it was really scary. Like, it was definitely an intimidating situation for me that I hadn't been in, and I had to trust my own ability and my ability as a teacher to educate them the best of my ability, and recognize that it's a privilege for me to be in this situation, and to be so happy to see Mikey in that situation, because we've tried to get gigs together before and they didn't happen.
And they would say, like, I'm not the target audience, and so I would have to bow out.
And it's really hard to hear, you know, when your partner isn't wanted for something, and the fact that, I mean, I would have been so happy if Mikey had booked this gig without me, and I would have insisted that he took it. But the fact that I got to be there as well is just, it's a dream.
I don't think
it's a privilege.
I don't think I would have been able to do this on my own at all. Like, I believe that Jamel would have got his vision. I believe Alan and Jon would have got their vision out of this, absolutely. But I don't think it would have been the thing as received by our community as it was without you. Like, your experience shows. Like, you've done so many music videos, and I've seen it. I've been a part of it slowly, a bit over the years. But like, honestly, like, from Colorado to capital cities to Katy Perry, like, there's been so many things where you've seen so many things more than I have, and I had to rely on your experience, and you did not fail. And so I truly believe I could have done it, yes, but it wouldn't have been the same without you. So I couldn't believe anybody else could be next to me other than you. So that was really awesome. 2 was watching you not get hurt, and watching you fucking push through every swing out, every aerial, and I'm like, you're not hurt, it's amazing. And then me going like, oh my god, my legs hurt, it's so bad. And I was like, don't die. It was a masterclass working with Jamel. Like, we learned so much, and we haven't even gotten a chance to apply a lot of the ideas he's instilled in us just in that week.
But we are looking for an assistant just wants to sit on the side of our rehearsals, just take notes for us.
Take notes of videos, and that way we can always rely on you. It's okay.
We even told Jamel, we're like, can we hire you to come to our rehearsals? Just tell us what's good.
I think the whole process in general was just so difficult, and I said this before, like the hardest I believe I've ever worked on something like this in the last couple of years, for sure. And it made me really appreciate, or like reappreciate, if that's the thing, how much I actually miss dancing and working with people and working in a situation to be creative with other creatives. And I think everybody left that whole shoot hopefully like a little bit confidence boosting and morale boosting, because like that's definitely, after the year we've had and everybody's had, it's definitely needed. And I think when it came out, it was received as such. It was received in a way that everybody, oh my God, I needed this. Oh my God, I can't believe I watched this. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm crying. Like all that kind of stuff. And we hoped that people would feel the same way, but the reactions we've been getting, the comments we've been getting, the message we've been receiving has been so much more. And so as much as us and the creators had an idea for the whole thing of what the music video was going to be and the song was going to be, at some point when you release it to the public, it's going to be up for their own consumption and their own vision of what that is, and it's been received in such a great way. Obviously, there's not always going to be the best things, and that's totally fine, but you know what? The majority of everybody enjoyed it, and that's all we can hope for, because this is still just entertainment, and we're doing our best to not only entertain people, but bring along the whole ideals that we've learned from the culture of Lindy Hop, like on our backs, and bring it to the public, and hopefully bring it back in the spotlight. Because like the coolest thing that I remember was watching the Jon Batiste going, we wanted to put the Lindy Hop in there. Like he specifically said Lindy Hop. Yeah. And that's the bigger picture right there, is that it belongs back in the spotlight, because it is a Black American art form that is just so beautiful and so joyous and just so full of emotions, not just like the good ones, the bad ones too. It's so full of that, and it needs to be brought back in and given back to the public, because we're going to be the ones who maintain it for the future. Yeah, and I think that Jamel has told us multiple times that this is where Lindy Hop needs to be. Yeah. And it's amazing that, you know, we have someone on our side. Yeah. You know, it kind of feels like we have somebody who's rooting for Lindy Hop, but also is rooting for Black Lindy Hoppers to show the world what this dance is and what it can be. And if there's anybody that's going to, you know, push us out there even more, it's going to be Jamel. Yeah. The premiere, that was crazy. Yeah. The night before it premieres on YouTube and everywhere else, and like BET and Spotify, Jamel video calls everybody. He called all us dancers on. It was just FaceTime. Yeah, so we could all see little squares. It's the first time we've seen each other. And then he like puts his camera up to the computer and shows us the video. And we're like going crazy, and we're like, oh my God, it's so cool. And he's like, you know, like it's just, you know, it's Jon saying, okay, cool. We watch it, and we're like, oh, I can't believe it. Like, it just looks so beautiful. It's so amazing. And then we get to see the next morning on the big screen as it premieres on YouTube, and as it starts picking up steam, and as we all start sharing it and all this stuff, and then it comes out that we're on Times Square billboards, and we're like, oh my God. And I think Tatiana went down there and filmed it, and Shauna went down and filmed it, and like, oh my God, we're like 6 stories tall on Times Square. And it's just a dream come true, a dream that I never thought I'd ever want, and it came true without even me asking for it, but definitely we worked hard for it. We worked hard for everything that we've done in our dance life, and I think it's great to enjoy it. It's nice to enjoy this feeling that like we did something really special. Yeah, and it couldn't have come at a better time. I think, you know, it's weird times, it's crazy times. We've had a really, really hard year, and this came at the end of that year, and it kind of like made everything okay in a way, and things are still hard. They're going to be, you know, we're still in the situation, but it kind of put an exclamation point on the end of the year. Yeah, totally. Instead of like a big question mark, you know, it kind of been like, we did this year, and something good came out of it. Exactly. For everybody listening in general, like if you ever have any questions or anything, we're open to all those kind of ideas in general. Like we want to talk about this. Like it was a crazy experience, and thank you so much for everybody who's sent us so much love and support. Send it also to the other dancers, Tizlan, Tatiana, Denzel, Mary Ellis, all the other extras as well, because they're sharing their behind the scenes photos and videos. It's just amazing. And share it. Like that's the best thing we can do. Is it doesn't take anything. Just share the video, whether it comes from Facebook or YouTube. Doesn't matter. It just hit 1 million the other day, which is so incredible. Also, be sure to follow Jon on Instagram. Jon, he's doing a ton of stuff right now. All of the dancers. But what's so cool with Jon is that he is doing his
I Need You challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
On Instagram with the song, where he put himself out there dancing, and it kind of started because we sent him a Lindy Hopper doing it.
Yeah, someone just like jumped into it and changed his clothes and did a bunch of solo dancing. It was really cool. It was Nick, and he did it, and I was like, perfect. It's like, I Need You challenge. So I tagged it. I tagged Jon on it, and he's like, yeah. And he sent me a message like, yeah, that's what we need to do. And I was like, whoa. And then the next day he wrote about it, and he's doing it, and now he's having like Instagram live videos with just dance parties where he's just choosing people at random to dance with him, and it's so great, and it's so beautiful, and I respect him so much as an artist, and it's such a great inspiration now, and all of this whole thing has been led me just so much more to like more inspiration, more creative feelings than I have had in the last year for sure.
Yeah, doing this kind of thing definitely makes you appreciate, the dance more than ever before, and the fact that we get to share it with the entire world right now is pretty amazing.
Totally. It's pretty awesome to get a message from your aunt and say like, "You're on entertainment tonight."
I just saw you on TV. Like, what?
That'll never get old. that is a crazy, sobering.
Although I can call to my daughter upstairs and like, "Your mom's on TV," and she's like, "Cool."
Yeah.
She doesn't even want to come downstairs. Yeah. She could care less.
That's the give and take. That's the equal balance of the universe. It's like, you may feel awesome, but your daughter thinks you're normal and weird.
I tell my son all the time, you don't even know how cool I am.
But thank you everybody so much for listening. Thank you so much for your support and love, and we hope you really enjoy Jon Batiste, I Need You, and the video, and there's more music coming because there's a whole album coming at some point. And maybe we'll see something in the future all together again. But that's it for now.
This is a thing that we might do again, and maybe interview some people. So if you're interested in hearing us talk to ourselves,
this is a lot more tame than I was like expecting, but it's much better. I also want to say that we do have a Patreon. In case you guys are wondering, we do put out mini lessons and like choreographies, just so if you learn solo and Lindy Hop. And also we have some extended stuff on there. We're looking to build it up just for fun, but also because we have a library of stuff already, and we can't wait to share more with everybody. So if you go to patreon.com/Mikey and Nikki, you'll find us and you can be our Patreon.
Does this Patreon have a name? I mean, not Patreon. Damn it. Does podcast have a name?
I just thought of another one a minute ago, so not yet.
Not yet?
Yeah.
We had a couple ideas.
We had a couple ideas for sure. We'll see.
Do you know we're funny?
Do you know we're funny? Wine not.
Wine not.
How about a drink and a dance?
Oh, nice. I like that.
Me too.
Is that something you just thought of?
Yeah. How about a drink and a dance? Thank you so much, everybody. We hope you enjoyed it. This went a really long time. We could talk about this the whole time. We can't wait for dance events and festivals and all sorts of dance things. Even our local scenes. We can't wait for everything to open up. Just please be mindful. Please be safe out there. Wear your mask. We really can't stress that enough. That will help. Numbers are going down, but still, please continue to stay vigilant. We love and miss every single one of you dancers out there. We cannot wait to share a dance floor and a dance together and a drink.
And a drink. Remember when we used to share drinks?
I've never shared a drink.
Never again, right?
How dare you? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.